Redefine.
Let yourself be redefined. Let yourself be redefined.
You got the power.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Brotox Chill. Thank you guys for joining us this evening. You can be anywhere tonight, but instead you're here with us, and I thank you for that. So on tonight's episode, I'm honored and very fortunate to have another industry heavy hitter, someone that I like to consider a friend. He's been kind as hell to me from day one of meeting him. We are joined this evening with Phil Sitter, the CEO and founder of RepeatMD.
Hey, Ken, good to see you.
Yeah, always a pleasure, Phil. Thanks again, as always, for carving out some time and sitting in with us. Let's jump right into it, man. Every time I see you, I smile from ear to ear, man. I always get so excited to see you. You just have this great energy about you, man. You really do. Without saying a word, you just have this way of lighting up a room, drawing attention to you. All the eyeballs go to you, and then it just works out that you actually have a product/service that is cool as hell and actually helps us all out in the med spa industry. Let's kick things off by, just in case anyone is not familiar with you and RepeatMD, let's kick things off by just really digging into that. You know, if you don't mind, can you just share with our viewing audience and our listening audience, who is Phil Sitter? What's your story, man? We know you have a background in the restaurant industry with your family, but let's start from day one, man. How'd you get started? Where are you from?
Yeah, so, I'm an immigrant, right? And so I'm a naturalized citizen of America. But before I moved moved to America, I actually moved with my dad from Vienna, Austria in the late 90s. And so, I was 6 years old when I moved, so I don't have the accent, but I definitely have the lederhosen.
Yeah.
But I moved, I moved from Austria with my dad, and my family's background is really, restaurant and vineyard owners. So we have 5 generations between us that all of us were restaurateurs. And so when I became an adult, I did what all my family has done, and I opened up a restaurant with my dad. And I really got into business early. Before all that, I was already an entrepreneur at heart, but I really started at 18 selling classic cars online. And then, my dad was opening up a Austrian-German restaurant. I moved back to help him out with it. And then that really expanded into a passion to be a business owner. And so from there, as I was going through school, I transferred from LSU to U of H, the University of Houston. Okay. And as I was going through school and I became close friends with my professor of entrepreneurship, we won the #1 German restaurant in America award after 2 years of opening. And he told me, like, hey, Phil, you should just drop out and come back if you need to. Because I was so, I was stressing over midterms, and, we just won this award, and we had like lines out of our restaurant. Everyone wanted to come see us and like see the #1 German restaurant in America. So we became prolific there in Houston. And yeah, after he told me to drop out, that was really the beginning of my full-time entrepreneurship career. And we expanded that into multi-location, multi-concept. I had about 1,200 employees. I started franchising that. I met my wife there, had my kid, and eventually got into software because I wanted to create a software for my franchisees. I wanted to create a software for them to help with retention. So at that time, I created a mobile rewards app for restaurants that was alcohol-based, that would give a guest their favorite alcohol, right? Their favorite drink, right? If you were an old-fashioned guy, you could unlock different whiskeys. And if we hadn't seen you in a while, we'd say, Ken, we've got your favorite old-fashioned waiting for you at the bar. Okay. And so that's how I really got started with software. And, from there, we expanded pretty aggressively in the restaurant space. We had about 500 restaurant groups use us in the first year. And then COVID happened, and then I had 0 customers overnight. And that started the beginning of what was RepeatMD.
Oh man, there you just said a lot. There's a lot to unpack there, but that is such a cool story. So I had no idea your family is from Austria, man. Okay, cool. Well, I'll spare you the Sound of Music jokes, but just know I love that film and the family Von Trapps. I'm curious though, do you remember your first online vehicle sale? Do you remember the first car you sold online?
Oh, dude, that's such a funny question because yes, I do. It was what made me fall in love with the online space in general. And so what happened is my dad was at a car show that was at like a yacht club he was a part of, and his best friend was a banker. And they just happened to have a Concorde Elegance. It's like, a fancy car show. And he was there with the banker. They had too much to drink that day. And my dad bought 5 cars, 5 classic cars. Okay. And he knew that I was just, because before that, a little background is we had a car wash called King's Classic Car Wash, and King's Car Wash, and then it became King's Classic Cars, and then it became King's Beer Garden, and so forth and so on. But anyways, so he bought 5 cars. He told me, "Hey, Philip, he had a very thick Austrian accent. He goes, "Hey, Philip, you bought these cars. You need to put them online to sell them. I think they were a great deal." And he used to have a car dealership back in the day in Austria, so he had some understanding. I had no understanding. I was just his partner always in business. So he told me like, figure out how to sell them online. So I did what any person would do. And I put them all on eBay, eBay auctions. Yep. So anyways, so yes, I can remember because it was so incredible. So I listed this car and it was a 1940 Oldsmobile with the Hydromatic engine. So it's like the first automatic engine. Wow. It looked like a gangster mob car, like, one of those mob cars, right? And so I listed it. We bought it for $6,000. I listed it for $13,000, right? It was like my dream price. Like, I was like, who knows? I didn't know what I was doing. I just listed it for $13,000. I was like, oh, there's some profit and it pays for a little bit of the expenses. Anyways, yeah. I had my reason. Anyways, within 12 hours, the thing sold for the buy it now price like that.
Wow.
And I was like, I felt like I just like invented something, right? Yeah. I was like, I don't know what it was. Just at that time I was 18 or 19, and I was just blown away. So it turns out that I sold it to the Captain America movie. They needed more of those type of old school cars, and so I got this whole certificate from the producer or whatever that was like, your car was in this film, and yada yada yada. And so that's why they just bought it. They didn't care about the price. They just needed those vehicles. They needed more of them. And so they were scooping them up. But anyways, that was the adrenaline rush I needed to really like take that seriously. And so in the next 18 months, I ended up selling about 100 or more classic cars.
Wow.
And so I got really obsessed with online marketing and drip campaigns and selling those cars and finding European buyers specifically that wanted American muscle cars, but it was hard to import them. And so I found a little niche there, and that was actually how we ended up saving enough money to open up our first restaurant called King's Beer Garden. It was from the profits from the classic cars that we did that. No one's really ever asked me that story, but like that was funny that you asked.
Wow. So there you go. You guys heard it here first, right on Brotox and Chill. So that is so cool, man. I could do a whole episode just on that story. How about that? Your first car sale ends up in freaking Captain America. That is cool as hell. But you said something interesting, and we're going to dig into it a little more later, but I do want to touch on it. So from experience is how you learned about online marketing and advertising. So a lot of what RepeatMD, fast forward to current state, is built off of and actually does, the origins, the foundation of it, you as the CEO, you have actually done it yourself, hands-on, made money, I'm sure probably even lost money, learned, won, lost, etc. So that's actually something very interesting to know. And I definitely want to make sure our listeners key in on that and keep that in the back of the mind anytime you think about RepeatMD.
Yeah, before I was a software CEO or founder, I had 12 years of in the trenches of owning small businesses and going from one location to 5 locations to franchising those locations, having a regional manager, doing an FDD, understanding all that. and 1,200 employees is what were rolled into me. So it's a good point, Ken, because the reality is I have more experience as a small business, brick and mortar owner than I do software, right? I've been doing software now for about 8 years, but this time period of being in the trenches and experiencing what it's like to do all the hand-to-hand combat, especially in the hospitality industry, which, the medical spa space or aesthetics and wellness space is the hospitality industry. Just you're not selling schnitzels and sausages and hamburgers. What you're selling is a transformational experience, right? But there's so much Danny Meyer Setting the Table is a foundational hospitality book. That book applies not only to just restaurants, it's the concept of hospitality, the concept of Ritz-Carlton, the concept of guest experience that I have the most experience in.
Absolutely. And again, sorry to get ahead of myself, but guys, I have a relationship with Phil. And one thing that I do want to share with Phil, like RepeatMD, the product itself is amazing. It's awesome. But one thing that really sets you guys apart, and this is the point that you're making right now, it is the service. Okay. It is the customer service. It is the fact that dealing with RepeatMD is almost like, checking in and out of a high-end or luxury hotel, right? Something may not always be to your liking or to your pleasing, but once you voice that, they bend over backwards to make it right. I would say the level of service and care that we get from you guys and the team over there is concierge level. So again, we'll dig into that a bit more in the next segment, but bringing it back to the story. So you were just saying COVID hit, right? So you were selling cars online. You stacked up enough money from that to we now have King's Beer Garden, the restaurant. It's kicking butt. COVID comes and it just shuts down that business. So how'd you roll that into RepeatMD?
So I had the restaurants, and then really what was a catalyst in my life is I was working on the software and I launched it within my restaurants. I was selling it to my franchisees. It naturally got out through my friends in the industry that they wanted it to. And so now I had a software business, right? And it wasn't a business that I was really thinking about going full time in, but my big catalyst, it was the birth of my daughter. And I was thinking to myself, like, man, when you're just a dude, right, in a relationship or, recently married, you just think of yourself as like you have an engine and you're working. And if you miss a Christmas or you miss, a holiday or all those things, it is what it is, right? You're young and you're doing your thing. But the moment my daughter entered the picture, I was thinking to myself, man, with restaurants, I'm on all the time, every Saturday night, Sunday brunch, every holiday. And that I felt as though that I need to think about, is there a different option for me? And so as I had the software, I wondered to myself, could I take that business more seriously and really grow it? And so ultimately I started selling it to other restaurants. Then I sold all my restaurants to my franchisees. So I got out of the business completely. I retired my dad, went software full time. And from there, I was just like, hey, we're going to make this thing work, right? So I self-funded the software company, and then like 9 months, 10 months into it, COVID happened. And then I had no restaurant paying customers, and I was creating software for schools, for attendance, rewarding attendance. I was thinking about country clubs. I started creating software for auto mechanics. Just happened to be Dr. Ben Salento, who was an ENT. He also opened up a MedSpa. He was a friend of my VP of sales, and he said, oh, well, why don't you use this in my upcoming med spa? We have a grand opening, and I think this would be really cool. We would love to have something like this. And I didn't know anything about it. I was just like, okay, let's give it a shot. And so, we launched. I called Dr. Ben one day and I said, like, how's everything going? He said he loved it. And I was like, okay, let me take this more seriously. And then the story really wraps up with an Airbnb in the Woodlands, Texas, with me and my 5 employees at the time for the company. And I get an Airbnb. I do a Tony Robbins Business Mastery, a virtual event. And I'm sitting there, taking notes, trying to figure out like, what are we going to do with this business? And I'm in the Airbnb, right? Because that's pretty much all you could do during COVID. And then that night, we all take a bunch of magic mushrooms, and it comes to me. Like, I go to GoDaddy and I buy RepeatMD, and I start creating the business plan, all with the power of 10,000 suns radiating from me.
Hell yeah.
And the next day we woke up, and I still thought it was a really good idea, and we really went for it after that.
That is awesome, man. That is a great
true story.
So
Really
yeah,
is.
I was gonna ask, but you answered it without me asking. So we'll give credit to the name RepeatMD to magic mushrooms.
Yeah, it was just like, it was at that time, it was just a core loyalty product, like repeat visits, and MD sounded medical. And so I said, I wonder, RepeatMD, it sounds like it would make sense for this space.
I love
And
it.
the URL happened to be available, right?
Yeah.
It feels like magic when something like that happens, when it's available. You're like, oh my God, it's a sign.
Yeah.
And then, the next day we woke up and we really did the rest of the business mastery event, and we realized like, hey, we believe the aesthetics and the wellness space and longevity and all these things are at the very tip of the iceberg, and they're only going to expand. And this was in 2020. And I think during COVID, a lot of people found their power of saying, you know what, I'm going to take charge of the way I look, the way that I feel, a little bit of distrust built in there of saying like, I don't know what's real, what's not, but I want to take care of me. And so I think that a lot of good has come from that, especially in the aesthetic and wellness space, of not only people doing treatments, but empowering themselves to figure out the answers that are right for them.
Awesome, man. You were so spot on. Talk about being in tune and having your finger on the pulse of the industry and your consumer. Let's do this, Phil. This is the perfect point. Let's take a quick break. If you need to get a drink, anybody, if you want to take some magic mushrooms, whatever it is, you've got a second to do that. Phil and I are going to take a break, and we'll be right back. See you soon. If premium membership growth is a priority for your practice this year, then I want to personally recommend you to an event that's definitely worth your time. On January 28th at 3 p.m. Eastern, my friends over at RepeatMD will be hosting a live membership masterclass with my buddy Phil Sitter, focused on what's actually driving sustainable membership revenue in today's practices. You'll hear directly from owners running $50,000 plus monthly on memberships per location. You'll hear how they built it, what they changed, and how they sell without sounding salesy or even making it seem too transactional. In addition, our friend Dr. Gabrielle Lyon is actually joining live to cover the health trends that are shaping 2026. So she'll talk about things like longevity, metabolic health, hormones, peptides, and even concierge style service. It's free, it's live, and one attendee is actually going to have a chance to win a $5,000 Chanel bag. Wouldn't that be nice? One more time, January 28th, 3 p.m. Eastern. Register with the link in the show notes or at the website below. Cool. All right, guys, we are back. Thank you again for sticking around. Let's jump into things. So, Phil, you were just giving us some insight on your background and your story, a little bit about your family. And, I really think it's not only an inspirational story, but I think it's cool when we reflect on it and look back at how everything that you did and everything that you went through during that period of time, you being in the trenches, learning SEM, learning about the digital space and the digital network, losing money, making money, all of that has now led up to benefit people like me, right? Like our practice, Drippy Nurse Jess, we've been clients of RepeatMD. That's how I ultimately met you. I saw you on stage. We learned about the product. We learned about the service, and we signed up right away. So it's cool, again, just hearing that story and just selfishly seeing that how everything that you went through is now benefiting me and so many others. So I wanted to just take a little bit of time out, though, Phil, and dig into it, man. Get into the meat and potatoes. I mean, we're here to learn. We've got a ton of just industry professionals, providers, injectors, MedSpa owners tuning in. And I understand you have a masterclass coming up very soon. I always tell people nobody does webinars like RepeatMD. It's pretty awesome. You guys really have it down to a science. But can you give us some insight on what you're doing in the here and now to help out practices and help us just be more efficient?
Yeah, so going back into sort of what created RepeatMD and what I've found the most benefit of my past is I've gone through a lot of events, and I still continue to go to masterminds, master classes, etc. And I found myself as a business owner making quantum leaps in growing business by finding other people who've been there, done that, who can give me kind of the secrets to their success, if you will, almost like this mantra, success leaves clues, right? And so I wanted to bring that to the space, and we started doing these very large scale events and these master classes, bringing people that no one really has access to. And it started with industry folks last year. John Wheeler, CEO of Alpha Partners, Dr. Amanda Holden, Terry Ross, Dr. Rajani, Adam Haroon, Lisa Krause. These are folks within the industry that people pay anywhere between $1,000 a day to $50,000 a day just for access for information. And I wanted to help our clients not just learn how to use RepeatMD and make RepeatMD a tool in their practice that can help grow their practice, which it does, but ultimately learn from other people on how to grow a bigger and better business. And so that was an investment that we made last year. And this year we're turning it up a whole new notch. And I can't spoil the rest of the year's plans, but I can tell you on January 28th, we have our first for the year, and it's our membership masterclass, the 2026 membership masterclass. I'm bringing in top practices from all over the country that do a minimum of $50,000 a month in membership sales, right, out of a single location. So that's the criteria. And so we have many of them coming in to teach how to launch a membership program, how to relaunch, what works, how to pitch it, how to retain their customers, how to create a membership event. How do we make sure that it's well attended and it closes? And I'm bringing in a celebrity, and that's Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, and she's a New York Times bestseller for Forever Strong. She's one of the largest in the wellness space. If you're familiar with her work, you know what a total powerhouse she is.
Absolutely.
And that is on January 28th, 3 p.m. Eastern. And I'll give you a little spoiler, but I can't tell you the rest of the lineup. In March, we're bringing in someone even bigger, and that's going to be on March 28th, and that is going to be the MedSpa Growth Masterclass. And I'm bringing in the one and only Gary Vaynerchuk for this one. So that's going to be a really big deal. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
And then that's just the tip of the iceberg. We've got some people that are very, very special that are going to be a part of RepeatMD this year. And on March, we're also releasing a new product, a new company, a new product that really no one in the world has ever seen before. And it's been a huge investment, and we've spent the last 10 months building it. No one's known about this, and it's going to be something that the space is going to really, really be surprised by.
That is so cool, man. That is so cool. Well, thanks so much for kind of giving us that breaking insight and breaking information, a little bit of sneak peek of what we can expect later on in 2026. Let me ask you, I want to dig into the masterclass a bit. Now, so you mentioned that you're bringing in some practice owners who are currently doing $50K a month in memberships only in a single location?
Yep.
Wow, that's mind blowing, man. I mean, it's a huge number, but at the same time, again, partnering or being clients of RepeatMD, I understand and I kind of see and know what something like that would look like. Like you and I exchanged emails, recently or a little while ago around what we did for Black Friday, and what that promotion looked like just, in less than a week's period of time. So what can we expect in that masterclass? Like, what are some tidbits that you can share, some of the best practices that you're seeing, single locations? Because I do think that is one of the big benefits, especially us being a single location, of leveraging RepeatMD rather. It really helped us scale. So what are some of the best practices that you're seeing or that you might even speak to in the webinar?
Yeah, so we're on this webinar, we're doing a lot of what you're doing with me today. We're going to be interviewing these successful practices.
Awesome.
And so that's a really important piece for me, because I want it to be like not theory. I want it to be practical things that people are actually doing in the trenches, like working today, because consumer psychology and what consumers want change, right? And so we saw this huge shift from memberships that are just purely benefit and tier related, so like you get one facial every month, and we saw a huge boom in the last 18 months into beauty banks or wellness banks, right? And so understanding that consumer trends change, so what's selling, what's working, right? How to integrate wellness, right? GLP-1s and peptides and all those things, when the price on online telehealth is just constantly, that number is going further and further and further down. How do you as a practice compete with that, right? What can your unique value proposition be where people will gladly go to you instead of buying from telehealth? And then all the super tactical pieces, like as an example, when you do a membership event, did you know that you should not provide alcohol at that event? Well, that's interesting. Well, why is that? So the person that's coming in is going to be talking about the membership events, but for example, the events that they did alcohol versus non, they did 3 times more sales with non-alcohol than with. Well, why is that? Well, the alcohol becomes star of the show. It becomes about the wine. It becomes about your time at Martha's Vineyard, or it becomes your time at Napa, and it becomes a social club versus an event where you're there to learn, to grow, and to ultimately purchase something. And so that's like, oh, that's an interesting piece. I would have never thought to not provide alcohol at these events. Okay, well, that's one thing. And then just layered into all the different nuances of how to sell memberships. So it's like, well, what is the number one way to sell memberships? Well, there's 7 ways you can sell memberships like tomorrow, right? There's 7 ways to sell more memberships fast, but like one of them is to never discount, right? Other than have membership-based pricing, right? So if you're going to do a discount, make it like a Black Friday. But on your normal Tuesday in January, always offer membership savings, always offer VIP pricing for your members, right? If you can create that friction in your process, it can become part of your rhetoric as you're having the conversation with your patients and say, hey, actually, this is $4,000, the package that you want to get, or whatever it is, it's $4,000. We do have a VIP price for our members only, and that would be 20% off this price. You would save $800 today. Would you like me to tell you a little bit about the program? You'd seem like you'd be a great fit, right? And if you can just bring up memberships in the conversation as a way that benefits them immediately, you're going to save $800 today. You're going to save $400 today. And by the way, Ken, based off what we're talking about today, you seem you'd be a great fit. And not only that, we have an incredible Valentine's Day gala coming up for our members only in a +1. And then you start talking about your membership events, which is another point, right? If you're going to do a membership, would you want to be a member to it? Or is it just something that's a recurring charge? Right. Well, my members, RepeatMD clients, are going to have access to Gary Vaynerchuk, right? First time ever he spoke to our space. Okay, well, that's what you get for being a member of RepeatMD, right? But on a practice level and on a restaurant level, I used to have a membership called the Stein Club. People would pay $200 a year to be a part of it. What do they get for being a member? Is it just a recurring charge and access to the benefits they're paying for? Or are there certain events that you can bring a +1, bring your wife, bring your husband, bring your friend? Are those events educational based, so people are coming in to learn something and grow? Maybe it's about the wellness space, maybe it's about the health. Is the red carpet out? Are local vendors out? What are we doing at that event? Is that an event that you would want to be a part of? Are you even doing them? And if the answer is no to those things, if you're not doing membership-based pricing, VIP-based pricing, if you're not doing membership events and making them the exclusive have to be place, right? Because people are always looking for something to do. It's not like there's always shit to do, right? People are looking for something to do if it's valuable. And that's just 2 ways. There's many ways, but those are just 2 ways that you can have the right membership but have the wrong strategy and not get to where you're looking to go, right? You can have the perfect beauty bank. You can have the perfect membership and you're scratching your head and wondering, well, why is it not working? Well, there's just a little bit of adjustment that if you heard the best practices, what they do, and it sounds so simple, and sometimes that light bulb goes off, well, then you apply that too, you'd probably get somewhere around the similar result. And so those are the things that we want to provide at that masterclass, and that's on January 28th.
Beautiful, beautiful. Guys, you can definitely go to the website, repeatmd.com, or actually go to repeatmd, what is it, Phil? repeatmd/chill.
repeatmd.com/chill.
Boom. There you go.
Yep.
You'll get more information. You can register for the masterclass there. Again, man, you're sharing so much. I love to say it, man. Nobody does it better than you, Phil, when it comes to speaking directly to the industry, giving us solid talk tracks, etc. You just shared a lot of really good information there. Now, building off of what you just shared, another thing that I wanted to ask you, and just the direction to go. So, when we originally got with RepeatMD, one thing that stood out to us is, like I said, you were really the draw, right? We learned so much from you, but I realize, and I want to make sure our viewing audience understands this as well. Everything that you're sharing, all of the ideas, the information, so on, the way your business is set up, you actually have a team that can help do everything that you've just shared. Like, we've dealt with the team, whether it's via email, whether it's on Zoom meetings, phone calls, whatever, just to do any and everything from brainstorming for strategies to when we do have an idea, we can literally pass it off to you guys and they execute. Where did that come from? Like, how did you realize, the importance and the value of practice owners' time, and knowing that, hey, we may not have the time or even the ability to execute and leverage RepeatMD to the fullest?
That's where my background really comes to. When you signed up, we sent you already made, after you chose your designs, we sent you the entire brand bundle, right? Because given that I was a restaurateur and had restaurants and franchise, right? If I left it up to my franchisees to go print all their own things and go find a designer, think about just getting that brand bundle. It's about a $2,000 value that you get when you sign up for RepeatMD. The box, the branding, the print, the design, having to do all of that, first of all, cost a lot of money, but second of all, a lot of time. And then third of all, at what quality? Do you know exactly how to message and position things? As a practice owner, if you don't have a marketing background, you'd be like so overwhelmed. Like, it would be, you'd print it off of Word and put like, sign up for our app and get $25. Like, you don't even know how to connect the QR code. How does the QR code work, right? It's so overwhelming. And then that happens throughout the entire experience, right? It's like, okay, well, let us take care of that for you so you're set up for success. Okay, well, hey, your mission is to transform patients' lives. Any minute that I'm taking you away from that is not closer to your mission, it's actually away from your mission. So what can I do to help you, to empower you, to move you back into the room, to be a part of that, or re-energizing yourself, that you're not having to worry about those things and you can be more doing the things that you love with your family or getting ready for the next day. Every minute that I take away from you is a minute that's away from the mission that we're trying to help you serve. That's why our mission is to help you transform patients' lives. And so we're a mission forward company where pretty much the decisions that we make help to do that, right? That's why we bring in the celebrity speakers, we do the master classes, we do the level of service and care that you're talking about, because we want to put you into your zone of genius and us handle the things around you. And if you think about the analogy that we talked about earlier, if you think about walking into a Four Seasons or Ritz-Carlton, that's how it feels, right? If you've never had that experience, go have it once, because you go there and you feel like, oh, I'm just here to enjoy myself and they're here to help me do that. And that level of service is what makes that brand an incredible brand, those brands incredible brands. And so I believe we have tremendous room for improvement as a company, as we all do. I believe that core principle is really important to RepeatMD, and it's something we constantly invest in.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, you definitely understand branding from top to bottom. Some would say RepeatMD had the best booth at Aesthetic Next 2025. I thought it was awesome. I know I went by there and got a kick-ass hoodie from you guys as well. My son actually wears it to work out in on occasion. Let's do this, guys. We'll take another quick break and then we will be back and we'll close this thing out. If premium membership growth is a priority for your practice this year, then I want to personally recommend you to an event that's definitely worth your time. On January 28th at 3 p.m. Eastern, my friends over at RepeatMD will be hosting a live membership masterclass with my buddy Phil Sitter, focused on what's actually driving sustainable membership revenue in today's practices. You'll hear directly from owners running $50,000 plus monthly on memberships per location. You'll hear how they built it, what they changed, and how they sell without sounding salesy or even making it seem too transactional. In addition, our friend Dr. Gabrielle Lyon is actually joining live to cover the health trends that are shaping 2026. So she'll talk about things like longevity, metabolic health, hormones, peptides, and even concierge style service. It's free, it's live, and one attendee is actually going to have a chance to win a $5,000 Chanel bag. Wouldn't that be nice? One more time, January 28th, 3 p.m. Eastern. Register with the link in the show notes or at the website below. And we are back. All right, guys. Again, thank you for sticking around. Coming back from the break, Phil and I were just talking about some cool things. The workout schedule. I wonder how many of you guys out there listening are doing the 4 a.m. thing and realizing getting your workout in first thing in the morning is an absolute must. And no matter what, there just never seems to be enough time in the day, huh? So moving right along, pushing through. Phil, one thing I wanted to ask, just as we're wrapping things up here and bringing things to an end, I wanted to get an idea, where can we expect to see you specifically and just RepeatMD as a whole as far as the conference scene goes, and where can we physically learn more and see you guys?
Yep. So our first big show will be in April, the Medical Spa Show. So we'll have a few lunch and learns that we're sponsoring, a Wake and Learn, an incredible booth. You can't miss it. Biggest, craziest booth in the whole show. So make sure to stop by. We've got a lot of goodies there. We'll have a new company launching the month before, so that will have its own booth as well, which will be super exciting. And so that'll be the beginning of the year. We just got a beautiful new full floor in Manhattan. So we moved from Fide to Chelsea. So we'll be hosting some events within our floor. We're in the Twitter X building, so we got a whole floor from them, and we're going to start doing some internal, workshops and those things, as well as we start bringing the master classes live. So, be sure to follow us on RepeatMD on Instagram, or go to our website. And yeah, just follow us in all the normal channels. You can follow my LinkedIn as well, Phil Sitter, or my personal at Phil Sitter. And we're always working on all these really cool things. And so this year we'll be going to a few events, but hosting mostly our own. Right, when we do our master classes, we have about 5,000 practices live when we're doing those things, and so we're looking to get closer and to the space that way.
Right on. So now this wouldn't be Brotox and Chill, and I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about it or at least pick your brain a bit. So I always say, first time that I saw you, aside from the hair and your height, the main thing that stood out was your selection of footwear, the Amiri sneakers. So I'm curious, two-part question. First, where do you get your sense of style from, man? Are you putting together your own outfits? Like, the suits are always bomb. The footwear is always on point. Do you have a stylist? Is your wife giving you some insight, or is that all just, the pride of Austria coming through?
My wife definitely doesn't style me, but she's got a great sense of style, but she doesn't. My mom was a fashion designer in Austria. So, I was like that kid that he looked like I came out of a little Vogue magazine, little Ralph Lauren magazine. So she always dressed me. So probably from there. But I do have a stylist in Houston, Terrell Jenkins, who's an incredible stylist when it comes to suits. And he works out of the suit supply in Houston as well. And his wife, Cassidy, was actually a finalist in Project Runway that my daughter got to meet. My daughter is already in sewing school, and she has met like 4 people from Project Runway already, and she wants to go to the Parsons School of Design. So she's like obsessed with fashion as she's 7, and she's always drawing with ChatGPT and all the AI imaging now she can take and visualize her designs and all that. But yeah, that was probably more than you bargained for an answer. But like, all of those things
it was
are
exactly
relevant,
what I was looking for, man. Like I said, I knew there had to be something to it. So shout out to Mom. and instilling that fashion sense into your DNA. And definitely shout out to Terrell and his family out there in Houston. That's so cool. That's so cool. So let me ask you then. So for this year, or the first half of the year, what can we expect? Are you sticking with Amiri? Is there something new that's sticking out to you this year? Like any brands that you want to put us onto?
I got an insane gift from a very close friend of mine that you'll appreciate. I got the Virgil Louis Vuitton collabs with the the white Air Forces.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know the exact
Virgil Louis Vuitton ones. Like, it's an insane gift that I got for Christmas, but I will definitely be wearing those at some point.
Oh man. Okay. Well, let me know what conference that is, so I won't go to that one.
Yeah, those are some sneakers. Just for the audience that don't know, that those are like a grail for people in sneakers, and one of those things that's like, if you have a prized possession, it's like the Birkin of sneakers, right? It's like
exactly.
So only wear them on carpet and never outside, and hopefully you don't crease them.
Correct. That's actually the best analogy or metaphor. It is definitely the Birkin of sneakers. We'll get a picture on screen. You guys should see it right about now. But man, I thought I had some cool friends already, but my friends are definitely not buying me shit like that. So you guys hear that, right? Step it up. Step it up. I wear an 11, and everyone knows I love Nike and Louis. So step it up for sure. All right, cool. So how about the hair? We switching up the hair this year, or are we staying consistent with one color?
Yeah, so the hair is an interesting thing, actually. So it was an A/B test from a marketing perspective when we were running paid ads, and the return off it was extraordinarily better. And it's not fun to bleach your hair multiple times per year. I would not recommend it. But our cost per lead went down dramatically, so I just kept it. And now, if I don't have it, people wonder like what's going on with me. So it's become part of the brand, no different than like maybe a beard or something like becomes part of other people's brand. So I don't know. I don't know what happens. I don't know if this is like a problem that like I'll eventually face if I continue to do this. But for now, the hair is the hair, and we'll keep it bleach white or whatever color it is now.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely, you're kind of stuck with it at this point, but I think you're spot on. You can leverage it as a marketing lever, right? So, maybe change it with the seasons or with different
people
promotions.
don't know my name most of the time. They're like, oh, the guy with the bleach hair, the CEO bleached like
exactly.
Yeah, my name's
slim
Phil.
Guy with the bleached hair. That's you're talking about Phil. That's kind of how you're known out there, but that's good stuff. So Phil, let's do this, man. It's late out there on the East Coast. I appreciate you making the time and sticking around with me as long as you have. We both have 4 a.m. workout wake up calls tomorrow. Again, guys, do not forget. We want to promote it. It's on the screen. You'll see it on my socials. You'll see it when this episode gets emailed out to everybody as well. There will be links so you can register and get directly to the webinar. Phil, one more time. It's January 27th?
8th.
January 28th?
Yep. January 28th, 3 p.m. Eastern. So that, just whatever your time zone is, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Pacific time. And it's about a 2.5, 3 hour event. So, come ready. And we're also giving away a beautiful $5,000 Chanel bag. So you can win one of those in true RepeatMD fashion and learn from some of the best practices, on the planet doing this stuff, right? So success leaves clues, folks. So I would say RepeatMD success would not be remotely where it's at today if it wasn't for people leading the path that I was able to learn from, be able to be mentored from, and cut the learning curve. Like, why spend all the time trying to figure it out when there's people who have figured that thing out that you're looking for? And so I would highly suggest, if you can make it, to make it. And that's repeatmd.com/chill. So we know you came from the show, and you can register. It's free.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Phil. He's dropped so many great jewels. Just like you said, man, success leaves clues. So please be aware enough to follow them. All right. Don't forget, join the webinar, the masterclass. In true RepeatMD fashion, you get a chance to win a Chanel bag. Kind of standard. It's always going to be a bag of some sort, Louis, Chanel, Fendi. And again, that just speaks to the brand and what we can expect anytime RepeatMD is in the house. So we will end it on that note. Another episode of Brotox and Chill is in the box, or in the bag, I should say. Good friend, Phil Sitter, CEO of RepeatMD, one of the best out there. I look forward to seeing you out there this year, man. Thank you again. And I'll actually be in Manhattan relatively soon, so maybe I'll drop by.
Yeah, come by the new office. Yeah, we'd love to have you.
We'll give you a shout. Right
Cool.
on. All right, well, cool. Good night, everybody. Thanks again. I'll see you guys soon.